Education is not about obscure facts and little test scores. Education is about the overall effect of years of slow absorption, concepts, philosophies, approaches to problem solving. The whole process is so grand and all-encompassing that it really can't be threatened by the occasional late-night no-hitter.
I wanted to talk about something, and I decided to use this clip of Mr. Feeney, played by William Daniels. Now, one of the reasons the Mr. Feeney character has always meant so much to me is because I had a teacher in real life who reminded me of Mr. Feeney. And it wasn't because he was really smart, although he was. Which, by the way, I thought it was so cool. He let all of us in his class call him by his first name. It wasn't just that Bernie was really smart, but it was that he taught us, and I got some really cool chances to know him. I got to know him kind of outside of school. And he taught me that, life and school and extra credit and, cheating and cutting class, or like all aspects of what we go through in our childhood, it's not about getting A's. I mean, it's always good that we tried to get A's, but the main learning in our lives, especially at that time, it was about kind of what we carried and how we learned. It's hard to explain. So it's kind of like learning is more than just, did I memorize stuff in a book? It's seeing things and growing new philosophies and understanding the world in a new and more expedient way. And that episode, it's all about pretty much that. It's about the fact that, sometimes you'll get in trouble for something, or sometimes you will lose. But in truth, you might have won. Or you might have learned so much more than you even expected to, and something that I learned early on, and I think it's one of the more important things that I've ever learned, is there's a difference between winning and gaining a new perspective, or there's also a difference between losing and understanding in the greater scheme of things that you may have actually won, or you may have saved yourself from something that isn't worth having. So one thing that I really stand firm on is I'm not a fan of debates. I don't like debates. I used to. I have it in me to be very argumentative, and I'm very good at picking at small things, like noticing something very small that you might say and using it against you in a few minutes, or, I'm fairly good at that stuff. I'm not the best, but one thing I've learned is that you can win a debate, you can win an argument, you can be, have the mic drop moment, you can be right, but you could, and you probably did, lose not only the respect of somebody else, but, you lost the chance to either find common ground or to actually potentially give the other person or the other people or whatever, you lost the moment and the chance to give them something to genuinely think about. So, I've been dealing with, for a couple of years now, people knowing that I'm trans, and it's such a wild topic to talk about. Not just me being trans, not just me going through a transition and taking hormones and trying to change my whole life and asking friends and people to call me a new name or not call me my old name, or, it's not even just about that. It's about, humanizing both sides of this, or all sides of this. It's about letting you know that, first off, I know that I'm no better than any other person. I know that just because I am a thing, I am whatever the thing is, whether it's American or whatever my ethnicity is, or wherever I came from, whatever the thing is. I'm a basketball player, I'm a hockey player, whatever, or I'm trans. None of those makes me any better than a person who isn't that thing, whatever it is. So we're all on even ground. And what's even more important in this conversation is that we should be fighting together against greater evils and actual evils. You know, the person who doesn't agree with my decision to transition, that was hard to say. Those people are people, and we could find ways to have respect for each other, even if we disagree. I've met lots and lots of people who disagree about that, but they're really great people. They're really amazing thinkers, and they're people who know how to do something really good, whether it's being amazing parents or being just very good at talking or teaching or mechanics or whatever. There's so many different areas that this is something that we should find some kind of common ground on. And I want to be known as a person who I want to get the actual answer that I seek, not just get the answer that I want. So the answer that I want is usually, how can we find ways to come together? You know, one of my favorite things is on TikTok. I have a fairly large page for somebody who's never had any kind of recognition or visibility really anywhere. And the reason that this page grew so much it's because the common ground that we all have is TV shows and movies from my childhood, from my era, the 80s and 90s, where I went through not only my youngest development, you know, and as far as entertainment, like Muppet Babies from the early to mid 80s, and all these different cartoons that so many of us watched, all the way up to, you know, my early childhood teen era years. Fresh Prince was huge, and all these TV shows, Night Court, Cheers, Wings, the Drew Carey Show, and Grace Under Fire, and all these different shows. But the biggest thing that I love about this is that through sharing those little memories, through remembering and kind of reminiscing all these different clips and moments and talking about, hey, did you know this or did you know that? I've seen so many people who I know personally, they wholeheartedly disagree with others. But in my comment threads, they're like, oh, I loved Uncle Phil. I can't believe, you know, he was my uncle too. And, you know, I loved Grace Under Fire. She was so funny. And, you know, all these different shows and clips and memories. And the biggest thing through all that is that we all found common ground. And whether we have the same or different political beliefs or religious, or whether we love pineapple on pizza, or whether we hate it and think it's, you know, it doesn't belong. Whatever the differences are, we can see each other as humans. We can get along and have that understanding that we kind of all came from the same place. We're all here on the same earth. We can fight the same fights. And you know, we all battle depression, or we battle, you know, not having enough money, or whatever there are so many things that we battle the same battles. And I want to, you know, I'm nothing, but if I can in any way put a dent in the division that is so prevalent in this world, I want to be a part of that. And a lot of that, just to shorten this up, a lot of that comes from the fact that I understand that sometimes having respect for each other and finding a way to see each other as humans who have thoughts and needs and are scared of things and have the same things that make us laugh or have the same things that we went through. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone in the comment thread on my TikTok page. I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say something like, man, when I was younger, I went through this kind of, abuse or this kind of struggle. And I was able to comment and reply and say, like, I went through that same thing, even though you're from way over here and I'm from way over there. Or maybe, whatever the difference is. Like, the fact that we had that, it's really amazing. And it's really eye-opening to get to see so many people be different and the same. It's huge. Actually, one of the biggest influences in this particular part of my learning was Jim Henson. Jim Henson's idea for the entire series of Fraggle Rock. I know it's a kid's show, but I love it. His entire idea was to take multiple different worlds. He took 3 different universes, 3 different worlds in this silly kids show, and he put them together. And there was a cohesion and a difference, and each set of characters, there was 3 sets of characters that all had no idea what the other was doing, but they worked together, and in the end, they all found a way to appreciate each other, even though they were different and from completely different worlds. And, that at that young age in me gave me the idea that I don't care if a person is Black or Asian or from wherever, as long as they're good people. And I want to be that person that is a good person. I want to be that person that someone, when they leave an interaction with me, whether it's online, in person, at a job, wherever, I want them to walk away, a little bit better, because I tried and I had heart and I listened to them genuinely, and I tried my best to understand where they're coming from as a person, because we're all people. And that's this little clip that I shared. It means a lot, because sometimes a win isn't always a win, and a loss isn't always a loss. And learning and knowing the differences and knowing that is true, it can be life-changing. Nostalgia rules.